everybody. Welcome back to Mystic Minds 999. How's everybody doing out there?
I'm Ariel from Maven Unmasked.
And Alyssa from Greenlight Messages. And here we are again today talking about Akashic Records, past lives, and future lives. So an exciting topic. Really exciting topic.
Yeah.
So the Akashic Records, let's just start out with what the Akashic Records are. The term Akasha actually comes from the Sanskrit meaning primary substance. So it's an existence outside of time. It's like energy, it's the, how would you describe the Akashic Record?
For me, the Akashic Record is absolutely everything. It's every thought, every time you blink, everything you say, everything you do, whether you're in this universe, this reality, whether you are, from another dimension, other aspects of the galaxy and the universe. It is the God energy. It holds everything. It knows everything.
So it's like an omnipresent energy. It's just, It's everywhere. It's everything. Mm-hmm. And Linda Howe actually says it moves through written and spoken word. But Ariel and I both think we've had a little bit of a different experience. Like, we understand the prayer of going in, like setting that intention to go in or to come out. But it's like whenever you're in it, I've never had to verbally say, I would like to see, something related to why I have this theme in my life.
Yeah, I never verbally say it out loud. It's more like for me and everything that I do, whether it be magically, whether it be mediumistically, psychically, it's all about intention. So if my intention is I want to go check out, this past life, in Egypt or something like that in my Akash, that is me, verbalizing in my own way. But to me, it's thoughts become things. So if you think it, there it is.
Yeah. It's like the best way to describe the Akashic Records would be it's the complete record of everything about your soul. So every lifetime you've ever lived, any potential futures that you're going to have, so going into it is just really going into the, I like the term you had used in one of your videos before, primordial ooze, kind of going into the raw substance of everything. Yeah. So,
absolutely.
It can be a pretty intense thing though, going into past lives, because you kind of it can bring some things to light and it can help you along your life, but it can also be something that can be frustrating or confusing, or just, it will awaken emotions within you. Excuse me, I'm playing with my drink here. So it's one of those things that it's all that pure potentiality, and there's so many things you can find out, but it's definitely something that's only for you to find out about yourself unless you have permission to read for someone else.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I would think that the way that I think of the Akash is I don't know, let's say you're getting a headstone for a loved one who has passed, and the way, they laser cut into the stone. It's like every thought, every action, every deed, there's this laser of the universe and is etching it into the Akash. I believe that yes, past lives are there, future lives is there, what you're doing right now is there. But I also believe that, again, every potentiality, every possibility, if I came to see Alyssa today, all of those possibilities by me making that decision are in the Akash, as well as if I did not choose to visit Alyssa today, all of those possibilities and probabilities are within the Akash as well. I think they're all playing out at the same time on, in multiple dimensions. All possibilities are existing right now in this moment.
So kind of like a choose your own adventure book. Oh, we got Kuma coming in playing. So if you see tapestry moving or you hear sounds,
it's the dog.
Yes, he is awesome. So it's kind of like that choose your own adventure book, I guess, would be the best way that I'm understanding it, is that
we have free will.
Yeah, you can make your choice to do whatever you want today, and then maybe tomorrow you'll do something different. But also, you're saying that, because you came here today instead of not coming here today, but the potential of you not coming here would still be playing out in another reality.
It would still be playing out in another reality. Now, I feel like if I decided to not come, then I jump into that timeline of the events that would occur if I didn't come.
Gotcha.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh, the neighbor's starting up his bike. I don't know if you guys can hear that. Sorry. So, I've always experienced the Akash as like this massive library. And before I actually get it too far into that, let's talk about Linda Howe. It's Lindahowe. She actually wrote a book on how to read the Akashic Records. So if you guys are interested in that, go check it out. There's a lot of good stuff in there. There's some things where we're kind of like, I disagree from my own experience, but it's still great information. So
yeah, Edgar Casey as well.
Sleeping Prophet
has things about the Akashic Records. There's a ton of resources you can find online. I know people talk about it on YouTube, but before we started recording this, I was talking to you. It was like in doing some more research and preparation for this, I could not find anything that truly resonated with me and my experiences in the Akashic Records. So I just wanted to say that to all of you. If your experience says something other than what is on Google or what is in a book, that you're checking out, don't discount your experience based on that, because it is, your own experience. It's your own personal journey. And that could just be what that particular person who wrote that book or made that video, that's their experience. It doesn't have to be yours.
Yeah. And same with this video. This is our experiences. And so it may resonate with you. It may not. And that's okay too. Take what you will from it and then let the rest go. There's no judgment here. So, so Linda was saying that there are, lords of the records, and this is like the governing body of the records. They keep the records' integrity. And then Kuma's over here singing and like making all these crazy noises. And then there's masters that kind of work with the individuals within the record. And so the masters are the ones that kind of help choose who your teachers are going to be, who your spirit guides are going to be, help you with your lessons. And then also, they also govern whether you can access the records or not, if you're old enough, if you're mature enough, if you're advanced enough, things like that. But two, you don't have to be a psychic medium to be able to access the records, because it's like a primary substance. It is.
You are entitled to it by your existence alone.
And I've always experienced it just like a book. Like, whenever I've gone into my own Akash, I've always experienced it like, here's the book of my soul's whole experience, and then my soul's future potential experiences as well. And so with that, I do want to say that there is no time. There is no linear time. So a past life for you could be something like Ariel was saying with those potentials and making the choices. It could be all playing out at the same time, and you're just taking experience from all those places. So it's one of those things that it's really hard to define specifically what it is, but it is something that,
for everyone.
Yes, and everyone can experience it too. So you don't have to be gifted in a way to visit it. So
I do want to say one thing. If for me, and this is more kind of like a warning or an advisory, not really a warning, but be mindful if you're going into the Akashic Records. What is your purpose for doing so? Because it's not a thing like, oh, I just want to go see every past life I've ever lived. It needs to be relevant to you and what is going on right now in your current lifetime. Because if it doesn't have to do with that, there's no benefit in you going and exploring that. Also, beware that, like you said earlier, there may be things that come up in this past life that if you are like, let's say you're on a shamanic journey to the Akashic Records. I know you were there with me when I kind of had this experience. But you're there and you're in the past life, and then there may be shocking and surprising things that happen, or you may feel phantom pain in your body. Now, that could be just my experience because I'm a medium and I'm a sensitive. But just know that old wounds may be open, things that need to be healed, may come up. So don't do it. I wouldn't say, if it's your first time, I wouldn't say do it alone. I would say do it with somebody that you trust, especially if you come out of it and you have trouble grounding, or there's some things that you need to process. So just be mindful that it doesn't take you off your path of trajectory, if that makes sense, in your healing, or spur you further back because it brought up some things you weren't ready to deal with.
Kuma's playing. My pug's name is Kuma, and he's playing in the tapestry here. So, I forgot what I was going to say with that.
I'm sorry.
No. I know. Everything you said was like, oh, I should say this. So I like the way Linda had described it in the book when she was saying that it's like going into a department store. They're going to have everything, groceries, clothes, housewares, everything. And when you go in, you want to go in with an intention of what you want to grab. So maybe you want to find a theme in your life that you're wanting to know more about. Why do I keep drawing in this type of guy? Or why do I keep having struggles with this or that? Go in with an intention. Be very specific. That way the keepers in there know where to take you and what you want to, what you need to see. And that's the thing, is they're only going to show you what it is that you need to see. It's not like
it's not a playground. The Akash is not a playground. It's not like, I mean, for me, I'm the type of person, I'm a library geek. So I like to go to the library and I'll spend hours just taking out books and flipping around and, oh, do I want this? And oh, do I want that? I could spend 6 hours in a library. But the Akash is not that. It's like, oh, you go and you search, does, this branch of the library have this particular book in stock? Yes, they do. They're going to hold it at the front for you. You get it and you go. And that's it.
I think it would be, in my opinion, I think going in without a specific intention could be exquisitely overwhelming.
Sorry, I was just like 60 sloppy minutes.
Oh, yeah. And one part of the book, she says, 30 minutes in the record, 30 good minutes in the record is better than 60 sloppy minutes. And we were cracking up because that's just, the
no
best.
leisurely pace, sloppily going through the Akashic Records, oh, this and oh.
It would be like a room of disarray. I would be like, I can't do it. I just can't do it.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. You said that, and I was so just funny. 60 sloppy.
So they say that she says that the Akash is if you think of it, it's just like a governing body, and there's a lot of realms and a lot of information contained within it. So it really is, it's like, the way I personally feel is it's like the book of you. You can go through and look at anything you want to about this life, about potential lives in your future, and things that you had experienced in a past life, if there's any kind of karmic ties that you had started, or any vows maybe that you had given that you want to break in this lifetime. I feel like...
Sorry, as you said that, it was like a question came to me. Do you believe your soul contract is housed in the Akashic?
I do.
You do?
I do. I really do. I think that's a place you can go find that out, because I don't believe, I'm definitely the strong believer of that we create our world around us, but I do feel like we gave ourselves a blueprint before we came to Earth to go, these are the things that I want to do, or wherever we incarnated to. What if you wanted to incarnate on a whole other planet or whatever? There's no judgment. It's just more of like, I've noticed that from, these are the things that I had not passed the test before, quote unquote. So I want to try and do it again. And that's when you have your guides and your teachers that, kick you in the butt and keep you on track. It's usually when you're looking up at them going I'm so freaking mad. I hate you right now, and then they're like, well, you wrote it up. Here you go. When they're just looking at you like, it sucks, I'm sorry, but you asked me to help you with it. It's like ripping off a Band-Aid. Just get it done. Just get it done.
Yeah, and then too, it makes me also think back to a great book kind of having to do with this a little bit. Journey of Souls by Michael Newton.
I've heard of this one.
Fabulous book. We should do an episode on that. It's fabulous. It's
I haven't read it yet, so it'll be something that I'll have
fabulous. To read. Highly recommend. But when it's about lives between lives, and choose your soul families and how you choose things and your soul contract and all that. Fascinating. Now, once I finish my incarnation as Ariel and I pass on, and I go for my life review. Now then, as I'm going through my life review, they pull out from the Akash, I would assume, the chapter of Ariel, and is that how they give you your life review through everything that was in the Akash, because the Akash kept that.
That would make sense. I could see that.
Sorry, I'm just like...
Just makes me think of all those times it's like, my life was flashing before my eyes. It's like, how would you take, I guess, but if there's no time, here's my mind going off into whole nother departments. But it's like, how could you define a life in one small place? You know what I mean? Even though I know it's like an energetic record, but it's also for us here, 24 hours can be grueling. 5 minutes can be grueling, So it's like, how would you take someone's, average life expectancy into a book? And then, and then just like define it and shorten it that much when it seems so expansive for us in the meantime. But then also, if there's no time over there, like, this could, you know, this lifetime, even though it was long for us and the experience of being in time, it could be like...
That's really what it is for them, because there's
a chapter in a book.
There's no time on the other side. And then, too, it's like, you think, I guess we're thinking of if it's the Akashic Records are actually written word. For me... I think it's more just vibration. So it may be, oh, she carried the vibration of anger today. And then in that vibration, the details comes out once you go into that vibration. But for me, it's like, that's
actually a really deep way of looking at it. It's a way to simplify it, but it's also a very deep way of looking at your existence of that day, what you learned, how you acted, like...
Because everything is vibration, and the vibration you carry and the vibration you give off, and what is attracted to you, you know, has to do with the whole vibration that you're giving off. For me, too, it's like when I go to visit the Akash, it's very much like, it feels like I'm at the Library of Congress, is what it feels like to me. And there's, you know, the little guy at the front, and he's like, you know, here's your card, or here's the section of what you're looking for. And then I've got my spirit guide, I specifically deal with for past lives and Akashic Records and stuff. Yay! He will take me. Now you experience yours as the book of your soul name.
Yes.
For me, I experience it as like there is a hall of, you know, my soul name. That is, you know, and all of the things that soul. So here's my book for the incarnation as my life as Ariel. And here's the book for my incarnation as Stephen. And here's the book for my incarnation as Rebecca. All of that, but it's all within that hall of my soul energy. And then it's like, okay, so I go into the chapter. You know, I say to my, for example, I'll say to my past life guide, I'm super connected to Norway. So one day I was like, I want to see my past life in Norway. Can we do that? What book that's from, I have no idea. They didn't really show me any of that, but it's more like they just open the book and then you're right there in that past life. I've never experienced it as, you know, we're going to this chapter, this table of contents. I've never really opened the book and seen writing on the page. It's kind of like you had said, we were talking about this earlier, and she gave the perfect example of reading Rainbow. If any of you all remember reading Rainbow on like PBS or WETA or whatever it is. And you open the book and then there you are, you're right in the book. Take a look, it's in a book. Reading Rainbow. You know.
Maybe we were conditioned early.
Thank you, LeVar Burton. Thank you so much.
He's pretty amazing though. I'm sorry, Star Trek fan. Like,
I just
pretty amazing.
Rainbow.
Yeah.
But
we have to make a nerd out of you.
I know. I mean, I can do this, and that's about as far as it goes. I can do the finger thing, and that's pretty much it.
Live long and prosper.
Yes. But that's pretty much how I experience it. They only take you to what you need to know for that particular purpose and that reason. Otherwise, there's no reason for you to be there. I know we wanted to talk a bit about permission as well. So
yes, super important with anything, with any reading.
Anything you do, especially when working energetically, spiritually, especially anything concerning anybody else, even if you're doing it for healing, for good, whatever, you need to have permission first. Now, Linda Howe was saying that you can't, for Akash stuff, you cannot go to somebody's higher self and get permission. You have to get express, verbalized permission from that person. Mm-hmm. Because the Akash is a private and a sacred thing, and to me it would be like
someone reading your journal.
You're reading your journal, or somebody, you know, reading like confidential, you know, stuff that's just supposed to be between you and your doctor. It's like violating HIPAA, like that kind of thing. What can, you know, if I go into Alyssa's Akash, and I'm like, I want to, let's say you had a past life in China. I go to your past life in China. How does that benefit me? How is that helping me? For one, it has nothing to do with me. For two, is that person going in to the Akash and saying, oh, this was something bad that happened to her in a past life in China. That's why she has a fear of snakes, let's say. And then I start to bring that to you in your physical in this lifetime. You can't do that. That's not a good thing. You don't want to mess around in somebody else's Akash.
So, agreed. 100% agreed. And when I've gone into my own past lives, I have noticed that, like, somebody I see in that past life is in my current life this time around. And I still can't go into their Akashic record, but I can see what played out between us at that time. So I'll still know a little bit about, like, you know, you and I having a past life. I can see our relationship in that past life, but I can't look into you specifically still.
Yeah.
So
only
it
how
really
it relates
is
to you.
Exactly. It's only how it relates to, if you're doing it for yourself, only how it relates to you, or if you're reading for someone else, it's only going to be for that someone else's best and highest good. You're not going to be able to go in there and do any like dirty deeds or find dirt or anything like that, because that's kind of not really of integrity in the record either.
That's not what it's for.
Yeah.
That's not what the Akash is for. It's very much like
the governing bodies are going to be like, yeah, you're not allowed to do that, sorry.
It just feels like there's a need to have reverence. Just like if you would go into a chapel, there's reverence there. If you go into a public library, you use your indoor voice. Like there's that air of sanctity and reverence and respect that very much lives there. And I feel like if you're not going in there with those intentions, they won't even let you in the door. It will not be tolerated. I also think that you won't be granted access necessarily until you're ready. Yeah. And I want to say this because for me, I've always been super, super interested in past lives, even as a young child. Really curious, really interested, just think it's fascinating. Reincarnation, all that. And for years and years and years, I've tried to get go to like a group past life regression or see a hypnotherapist and get a regression or like whatever it is. And every time I would try to go, it would be like storming so terribly. They're like, don't, there's flooding, don't go on the roads, or, something with my car, like something would always happen that I could not go. And I'm like, okay, universe, I don't get it, but I guess that's a sign for me. Like I'm not ready yet. Mm-hmm. So in doing my mediumship class I was taking, I had a new guide come in, and I learned then that I wasn't supposed to access my past lives and my Akash and all of that through being guided through somebody else. This guide was here to take me directly and help me to learn how to do it directly. Mm-hmm. So if you have trouble with past life regressions, or every time I've tried the YouTube guided ones, it just did not work for me. So
sometimes they don't.
Yeah, they don't. Just be patient. Maybe there's somebody waiting in the wings to help you, or maybe you're just not ready yet in your spiritual evolution and development to handle or absorb the information that would be presented to you there.
If you're drawn to this, though, I feel like, that door is already starting to open for you. Definitely. I can tell you guys, the very first past life I ever... he's so funny,
Sorry, he was making like weird little noises.
The very first ever past life I ever saw, and I'm not kidding you, I saw what my feet looked like. I saw how I died. I was experiencing that past life for maybe 10 seconds.
I would say the same for me.
So if you first get in and you're like, I feel like I'm getting nothing, I feel like I'm not getting enough, or it didn't make any sense, there's still something to be learned from that, but it does take time. You're building up, and this is how I experience it, is as you work with it, you're building up an energetic capacity to hold more space for it, to be able to stay in there a longer time. So we kind of start out with these little cups, for example, like a little swish cup from you brushing your teeth, and then you can go up to like a coffee mug, and then you can go up to a glass. Like you have to allow yourself to experience it and learn and grow. You can't go from being born to running a 5K. You have to allow yourself to just take your time, and there's no rush with it either, because you have a lot of people in the world of spirit who are guiding you and helping you, and they love you, and there's no judgment, It's just give yourself the time you need.
No, I would agree with that too. For me, it was very much like the first few times I actually tried, it was literally like 5 to 10 seconds. Like, okay, I know I was in this country, and I know I'm a girl and I'm a child, and pretty much that's it. But I think too, at least in the beginning for me, I didn't have an intention. It was just, I want to see a past life. So maybe we weren't going into it with an intention like, oh, I want to see why I keep, having these codependent relationships or something. What past lives did this stem from? Instead of, I just want to see a past life. And they're like, okay, well, we'll just show you this little snippet. You're not looking for anything in particular, but here's some of the gist. So for me, I was in China living in a shack, and, I had an alcoholic father or something like that.
Yeah.
But how is that helping me? I didn't ask. I just wanted to see something. So that's what they gave me. So again, I think the intention is everything.
Yeah, it really is everything. And, you know, there's going to be, from my, you know, my own experience and my thoughts on it, is that we're all going to have so much to go into when you go into the book of you that...
It's like, where do I start?
Yeah, like, you really... I mean, you could ask any questions you want. You know, what is my purpose with my creative side? What is my purpose with the job I'm going to do? You know, you can ask whatever you want. There's no questions that are off limits. Just make sure that you know what you're going in for. Have an idea, have an intention, have a purpose. Thank you. That way you're not just flipping through a book for no reason, or you're not just going in to just to begin. Like, you know, if you want answers, ask questions, basically. Yeah. So, I mean, everything I've experienced, it's always been, I want me to say this, I've never had any pain. If you go into a past life, you don't have to, I mean, you can have some discomfort, but it's like, I'll just give you guys an example. One of my past lives I went into, I was hit by a bus. I didn't feel it. I heard it coming, and then I just came back out of it. So it was like, I didn't have that. I didn't feel the impact. I wasn't hurting. It was just kind of like that, like, it was more of an awareness, like, oh, there's a bus coming. This is my time. But it wasn't like... I didn't have any pain. Like, you can choose to visualize it from a perspective of watching a movie, or you can choose to kind of step back into that form you had taken before. But in my perspective, I haven't really had any, like, I didn't feel my death. I didn't, like, have any of those experiences where it would have been discomforting in a way that I would not want to go back in and look some more, basically.
I've had both.
Really? Maybe in that situation, step out. Like, I want to view this as I'm viewing a movie instead of...
Well, it was, I think because of the purpose with the intention, like with the intention I had, that was part of the experience I needed to have. So for me, you know, seeing, you know, somebody I know in this lifetime, and like, let's say they betrayed me in that lifetime, and like physically feeling that, the impact of that betrayal, how I felt in that life. Okay, not necessarily, Ariel right now feeling like she'd been betrayed, but I could feel how Ariel then was betrayed. I felt what she felt. I could feel that kind of like coming here. I have seen like horrendous scenes of things that have happened to me in a past life. It was a little bit of back and forth, like, oh, I'm in it. I feel it. It was like I had to... It wasn't even necessarily so much physical pain. I will say maybe you experience more of the emotional pain that may be associated with that particular past life because of the lessons contained in that emotion. I don't think there's necessary lessons in the physical pain, but there's lessons in that emotion. And if you can match that emotion from that past life into an emotion you're experiencing right now in this lifetime, that's that karmic tie and that karmic bond and what you can work on.
It's striking that chord.
Exactly. So it's hitting that vibration.
It helped give you some insight then, like in this situation you're talking about, it helped give you some insight into your life now, like that pattern that was repeating, like it helped you kind of understand something in this lifetime now, right? Or is this like,
yes, it was related to this lifetime now for sure. It definitely helped to make sense of things. So when we're talking about like going into your past life with an intention, so you can figure out for me the only real purpose of going into and seeing a past life, yeah, it's cool, yeah, it's, you know, fun to, you know, check it out, blah blah blah. But the only real purpose you should be going into a past life for is doing, you know, clearing karmic ties in this lifetime or whatever healing needs to happen in this lifetime. Other than that, there's no real purpose in doing it. You know what I mean? I mean,
it's almost like useless information if you don't have a purpose behind it. It's like well, then
this is a fun story. I'm watching a movie. Like that's kind of cool.
That was good to know.
Yeah, like I've always had this affinity for this. Like that makes sense. Also I want to say this now. Look for current life clues into your past lives. So
that's a good point.
We were just talking about this, and this is why I'm bringing this up. For me, I have I have my spirit animals, which are very specific. And, I was watching a documentary the other day and I'm like, oh, I didn't realize they're all kind of inherent to this particular region. I wonder if I have a past life in that region. Maybe that's what the message is. Maybe that's why I'm attracted to this particular type of animal. I know for me, I've had several past lives with these animals, but it's like, so maybe, if you have a spirit guide who's an animal friend, well, why did you choose to work with me in this lifetime? Maybe we can look back at our Akash history together, that kind of thing. So it doesn't have to just be like, oh, I'm having a problem right now. Let me look back into my Akash and deal with it. It can also be synchronicities and signs that the universe is giving to you that you're like, well, what does this tie into? How can I get to the bottom of it? And going in that way as well.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. I would almost think, was it Jane Goodall? Am I remembering this properly?
The gorilla lady.
Yeah.
Jane Goodall.
I would think that, like, in future lives, like, she would probably have a very well-developed relationship with Gorilla, even in future lives, because, like, she spent so much time there. But I also would think that she probably has past lives, even though this isn't linear exactly, but because she's able to live with them and be able to do all that, she probably has created this energetic bond that will stick with her for, like,
many lifetimes.
Yeah.
And that's what's sparking me to my next point. So I was reading something, and they were talking about Mozart. And, Beautiful. Mozart was at the height. He was at mastery. He was playing beautiful, symphonies at the age of, like, 3. But it's not like he just came into that particular incarnation with that gift. He had been spending multiple lifetimes working with that. And then that last incarnation dealing with that is the mastery. Yeah. So that's why he was so, musically inclined at such a young age. You've been working on it. And the prodigies, because you've been working on it so many lifetimes that if you're a prodigy now, this is the mastery of that spiritual gift, because music is a spiritual gift.
It is.
Connecting psychically is a spiritual gift. Medicine, being a great doctor, that is a spiritual gift. Being a great orator, that is a spiritual gift, a writer, etc. So, I want to say this too, know that if there's something you really want to do or something that you just have naturally always been inclined to, it's probably something that you were doing in a past life. Yes. Like this for us, I definitely feel like, I definitely know I've had past lives with you, but just the work that we do. We've definitely done it in past lives, and that's why we're so inclined to it. We're always so attracted to it. So in addendum to that, what were you attracted to as a child right out of the gate? What country, what culture, whatever you were attracted to right out of the gate? Maybe you've kind of stepped away from that and gotten away from that. But if you were super attracted to it, I guarantee you probably had a past life connection there in some way, shape, form, or fashion.
Most likely. And if there's something that you want to do in this lifetime, ask about that. Say, I know deep within me I'm a healer. I just know it. I can feel it. There's this voice in me that is just wants to cry out, and it knows, and it wants to be heard. So go into your Akash. Go into your Akashic Record and find out how many lifetimes you had before, possibly future lifetimes you can have with that gift, because, that little voice within you is your soul speaking, in my point of view. You're like our souls, within this, I guess I don't even know if you can say within our physical form. It's kind of like, to me, it's all melded together, but there's so much wisdom in that multifaceted sense of who we are that we may not carry all of that wisdom logically or be so conscious of it in a waking state, but in that subconscious we know a lot more. And then in that Akashic Record you can bring some of that subconscious information to the conscious mind to help yourself. So it's a tool. It's really just a tool to use to help you throughout your life. A lot of us have some sort of pattern or something that we're working on that we're just like
cycles you're trying to break. Things
definitely.
That you're healing, recurring issues in your life probably have a stem in a past life. Real quick on future lives before we wrap up. I think that with your soul, and I've done some reading on this as well. Your soul will want to play out absolutely every possibility, and that's why we have so many lives. Your soul wants to play out every, from being a famous actress to being a homeless person to being somebody who, be religious, very religiously zealous, to I don't know, somebody who may be handicapped or disabled. Your soul wants to have all of these experiences until it's fulfilled. Once those experiences have been fulfilled, then you may not reincarnate anymore. But I feel like until that happens, you're constantly in this rebirth, death, rebirth cycle over and over and over again. And also with future lives, I think, yes, that everything you do now, remember the multiple realities and dimensions and everything kind of possibilities playing out, that the decisions you make today, right now, changes the future life and the future life possibilities and the future life aspects, because it's all connected. It's like a domino effect, but they all sprout off into many directions.
Like, how many times have you heard someone say, if I knew what I know now back then, I would have lived differently, or I would have done things differently.
The rearview mirror.
Yeah.
Looking in the rearview mirror.
It's like, I kind of think of life like, in video games, like your soul is, like each life, like say Mario, like who hasn't played Mario? Everyone knows Mario. So you have multiple lives, you can die and then you come back, you can die and you come back. Like your soul never dies, but those experiences are just each lifetime. Or like a game of Monopoly. This time you want to be the hat, next time you want to be the shoe, and then you want to be the money bag, then you want to be whatever.
There's
it's
a
like
obstacle in this one versus that
if
one.
you know that you're limitless in a way that you'll never die, like you I think there's a certain amount of like our souls are way braver than the incarnated sense of self is like.
Absolutely.
So
absolutely. I think too that no matter what path you choose to take, you'll end up in the same place anyway. Wherever you're supposed to end up, you'll end up. But I do think there's definitely more value in past lives than future lives. Not that they're invaluable, but for your current incarnation, I feel like there's a lot more to learn from and to incorporate into your current life from past lives than future lives. But they do have their place.
Yeah, it's kind of like if you could if you could remove yourself from the situation and look at it from an outside perspective, you're able to look at it without the judgment of being in it, without the feeling of being in it necessarily, as much as just like, oh, I'm seeing how I keep doing this over and over and over again, and that's why I keep experiencing this. So it's a way for you to view things for yourself without necessarily judging yourself too. Like, we're kind of our own worst critics.
Yeah. Detached observation.
Thank you. It's a perfect way to put it. So, it's perfect.
Yes. Well, thank you guys
Thank you so much.
It has been an honor and a pleasure again to speak with you today about the Akashic Records, past lives, and future lives. I'm Ariel from Maven Unmasked. You can find me on mavenunmasked.com.
And I'm Alyssa from Greenlight Messages. You guys can find me at greenlightmessages.com. And social medias for Ariel are all Maven Unmasked and Greenlight Messages here. And next week we're going to talk about shamanism. Yay! One of my favorite subjects. I've been like really in the heart and just diving into everything I can find in shamanism and teachers and learning, and just I'm so excited for that subject. Sorry. Just like, look at me. I'm like exploding.
It's her forte.
So if you're in Columbia, Maryland, Ariel is doing a class on the element of fire tomorrow, which will be Friday the 15th of September.
15th, yes.
Definitely go.
I have a whole bunch of events coming up in Columbia and in Crownsville, Maryland, from teaching tarot to the 4 elements and everything in between. So for more information on that, please visit mavenunmasked.com/events.
Yay. And fire, if I could just interject my little 2 cents, fire is an amazing element to work with when you want to work with transformation in your life. At least from my experience, fire is a great transformational energy. So if you are interested in that, definitely go. Columbia is a nice place, lots of places to eat. You can learn some awesome stuff from Ariel because she's amazing. And again, thank you so much for being here. We love talking to you guys and sharing our love. Bye.